Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk about something that I'm so excited to talk about. I briefly talked about it in Everly's 3-year update, but it's just something that I've been researching a ton, something that I am just so excited to start and that I feel very confident and strong about, and that is homeschooling. So let's go ahead and jump into the video so I can tell you all about my crazy ideas. So yes, homeschooling. It came to me kind of out of the blue. I never really planned on homeschooling my kids. Drew and I had talked about it a little bit, but until because whenever he was first born, I thought maybe I would like to, but I wasn't really sure, and I hadn't really, researched it or anything. And then Drew was like, okay, she's way too young for that, so let's figure that out later. So it came around to when we're thinking about preschool, and I didn't want her to go to just any preschool, especially one that is more like of a daycare, and they really just play and they're not really learning. And I don't need her to sit down and do book work or anything, but I want her to be learning, and especially if she's away from me, and I just don't know what she'd be learning. And so it was hard for me to really find a preschool for her age, for 3 years old, that I really liked. And so I started looking at private schools and private preschools, and a lot of schools have private preschools where they go down to 3 years old. And I found one that I really liked. I almost went for a tour, but when we talked about the price a little bit more, it was just astronomical, and we was just, why put ourselves in that position when we don't even know? I mean, it's for preschool, and we just don't have that kind of money, especially if you're just doing preschool, and then it doubles when you go up to kindergarten. And so we're like, you know what, let's think of other options. And I thought, I've always been interested in homeschool. I've always used to love teaching my sister and playing school, but I never wanted to be a teacher, but I love to teach. I don't know if that makes sense. But so I was like, well, let me look into it. And I started researching on YouTube, on Google, everything about homeschooling, because everything I've heard is, there's the stigma behind homeschool, that children who are homeschooled are socially awkward, or they're weird, they don't get enough, socialization, and that's kind of how I grew up. And in fact, when I mentioned homeschooling to my family, they were like, oh, how is she going to be socialized? And I was like, well, I mean, right now she goes to dance class, and when we have church and stuff, they have a class just for her age, and so she gets socialized. And then the older she gets, the more I'm going to put her in for sports or singing or whatever she wants to do. So I wasn't too worried about that. There's a lot of activities that our church does with kids, so I wasn't too worried about the socialization, but it's a big stigma out there. So I was just researching. I looked up a lot of families that homeschool, and they do vlogs, and they do day in the life of homeschool about. And I started to get really excited, and I just kind of took off with it, and I said, yep, I think this is what I want to do. But one video I watched said you really have to find your why, and that helps you stick with it. If when it gets hard, it puts in perspective for you why you want to do this and why it's important to you, and not just oh, I'm gonna homeschool because that's kind of the only option, which kind of how it sounded like in the beginning, right? So I wanted to tell you guys my why so that you can understand why I'm doing it. And then in later videos, I'm going to be telling you all about what I'm doing, how I found what I'm doing, things I'm excited to do in the future, all of that. But for this video, it's my why. So the first reason was because I don't love the public school system. I fell pretty behind in the public school system. I always loved school. I loved learning. And in fact, in 6th grade, I think I was in the honor roll. And so and then I got older, and friends became more important, boys became more important, and then you really fall behind in the public school system, because there's so many kids that if you're back here, it's easy to just get left behind with the public school system. So I already was like, no, I'm pretty sure I don't want my kids going to public school. And not only that, is there's so many, even in elementary school, I've heard of drugs being introduced into these kids, and then all the school shootings, and it's just, I just felt not comfortable sending my child to a public school. Some public schools are awesome. I don't love ours where we're at. I know that my stepdaughter goes to a really good school and she's doing very well. So it's not, I'm not trying to bash public schools. I'm not trying to do that at all. I just, for my kid, for my sanity in the area that I live in, I did not want to do that, and I did not trust that my child would be getting the amount of education in the way that I wanted her to get it. And another thing with public schools is you can't really individualize how you teach a child. So, you know, you have, what, 40 kids in one classroom to one teacher. You have one way you're going to teach it, and that's it. And kids are different learners, and you, if they fall behind, you kind of have to move to the next thing. And, you know, so it's really hard to be able to individualize any kind of schooling in the public school system. And so that was, I could go on about this for a long time, because Drew and I have talked about it extensively. Another thing with public schools is it's very uniformed, and I don't feel like, I want my child to learn how to think, how to solve problems, how to be logical, how to think critically, and be a problem solver, not to kind of memorize this for the test and then worry about that, and then only have tests, you know, tests that show where you go, I guess, in life. You know, I don't want that. I want her to find what she's interested in, really dive deep into that. I want her to be able to know how to solve problems, how to figure things out if she's stuck. And I want her to be a logical person, an individual. And sometimes I feel like the public school system can be kind of cookie cutter, you know, everyone is stamped out and then they are sent out, and it's all the same, and it's not what I'm looking for. I know not everyone gets the opportunity to homeschool or to private school, and like I said, there are some there are some schools out there in public school systems that are great. Like I said, my stepdaughter's doing great in her school, and so, but it's just not what I'm looking for me and my kids. Another big why is the safety issue. I'm one of those worriers, and with all of the school shootings and all of the terrible things that are happening in this world, I just wouldn't feel comfortable. I would be worrying all the time. So I mean, that is a really big one. Another reason, another why is our morals. As you know, I feel like God is being taken a lot out of the school system, out of government, out of because a lot of people are finding it offensive, and that's, you know, that's your deal. And I don't want to get too much into religion or politics, but for me and my family, God is very, very important. I want my child to start their day off praying. I want them to be a good patriot, and I want them to say the Pledge of Allegiance every single day. I want them to I don't know, I want them to reflect my morals and my husband's morals. And you don't really get taught that in the public school, because you have to keep it, you know, where everyone is like included, I guess. I don't know how they're working this, because, and I think, you know, I've noticed that, you know, the more you take God out of places like schools and then look at all the bad things that are happening, and like I said, I don't want to get too deep into religion or anything, but that is a big why for me, is I want them to every day be immersed into what our family stands by. I want them to have God in their life all the time and not have anything be, I don't want it to be pushed away from them. And it's very easy to do when you don't have anything like that in school. I watched a video, and it was kind of like a podcasty video from I think it's called the Warrior Poet Society. My husband showed it to me, and I'm going to link that down below, because I feel like they can convey that a lot better than I am doing. My brain is so scattered that when I try to get things out, it comes out very scattered, so I don't know. But I'm going to post that video down below in the description box, so if you're interested in kind of figuring out what I'm talking about, go watch that video. It's kind of long, but I loved it. And so if you're thinking about homeschooling and you're not really sure, that one was a really good video for me to watch, and was like, oh yes, because there were times where I was like not sure, because I was like, man, she's gonna miss out on so much. There are some things I loved about going to school, having all my friends, and getting awards. Like, you get little awards in school, and having assemblies, and having field trips, and having dances, and all of these things that I'm really sad that my daughter is going to miss. But when I think about all the things that she's going to gain by homeschooling, those things just kind of fly out. Like, she doesn't need those things. And there are so many homeschool groups nowadays that they do field trips, and I could do my own field trip. Hey, I can take her out. For example, our first couple weeks are going to be about apples and stuff, and we can go to an apple orchard, and that'll be our field trip, but I know it's different. But they have homeschool groups that do plays, choir, field trips, and stuff like that. So I'm not too worried about it, but those were things that kind of held me back for a little while. Now it doesn't hold me back at all. I'm 100% set in my decision. I don't know how it's gonna go, and the reason why I'm taking it so seriously at 3 years old for preschool is because I want to make sure I have this down and I have it the right way for when she gets into kindergarten, and then then you have to start reporting it to the state and all of that. I want to make sure it'll work for us. It might not. I don't know. You never know until you try, right? So this year I'm going to be starting out pretty slow. I have a pretty easy curriculum that's all play-based and reading, and doesn't take a whole lot of time. And I don't know, I'm going to be taking it pretty slow to make sure this will work for us. I'm pretty sure it will. But you never know. I feel like I had another why. I have so many whys, and that's why I'm so set in my decision, because I have so many, like, this is exactly why I'm doing it, and there's no if, ands, or but about it at all for me. I think that once she gets older into high school, I always thought about her going to Albuquerque Academy, which does, I think, 6th grade and up, and I always really liked that option. But again, it's a private school, so it's very expensive, but it's a very good school. And who knows, but if she's doing so good in homeschool and she wants to keep doing it, then we'll do that. If she kind of wants to maybe try it, we might try to test her into that. I don't know how that's going to. I know for elementary, we'll 90% sure we are sticking with homeschool, and probably the rest of the way. And I thought that teaching middle school and up was going to be very hard, but everything that I've been finding online, there's a lot of curriculum that is really student-led, and you don't really have to teach. You just have to make sure that they're doing it, make sure that if they do need the help, that you're there, and make sure that they are passing everything. And so I don't know, I feel like this is all jumbled. I'm just so excited. I am so excited to get this started. But I'm adding PE to every day, so she'll get at least 30 minutes a day of outside full-on playtime. And we are also going to be learning 2 different languages, and I don't know, I'm just really excited. I wanted to make this video for you guys so that you can understand where I'm coming from when it comes to homeschooling. My heart is in the right place. I don't judge anyone who sends their kids to public school. I mean, I went to public school. I think I came out pretty good, and private school is awesome if you can afford it. I just think I'm that personality where I would love to teach my children. I would love to do it. And I saw this thing on Facebook that kind of just really spoke to me, and it said you will never look back on your life and think, oh, I spent too much time with my kids, and so it really hit me. I'm like, you're right. Like, I would love to have them home with me. And I've heard a lot of people say, like, who have tried other schooling, that their families were so much closer and happier when they were homeschooling. In fact, my mother-in-law, Drew's mom, she homeschooled a couple of her kids for about 1.5 years, I think, and she said that was the best our family had been. We were so happy, we were so close. And I've heard of that from a lot of other families too, being really close, and you're able to do things that you normally wouldn't be able to do if they had to go to school 5 days a week for most of the day. And I only get my children for a very short amount of time. Most of my life and most of their life will be spent apart, and that breaks my heart. So the time that I do have with them, I want to make the most of it. I want to make sure that we are close as a family, and this is a way I think that is just the best way to do it. So I hope I didn't ramble too much. I hope what I said makes sense. Like I said, I have a lot of plans for future videos, doing what curriculum, scheduling. I'm gonna vlog her very first day. I'm gonna do reviews later on. So I have a ton of videos that I want to make about this. So if you guys have any questions, since I will be doing later videos, leave them in the comments below and I'd be happy to answer them, either in the comments or if it's a longer answer in a video. And yeah, because these videos have really helped me whenever I see people talking about homeschooling. I still watch, in fact, I will watch curriculum videos every day, and they'll be like 30 minutes long, just going through, like flipping through a curriculum or reviewing a curriculum, and I'm like, yes. So yeah, I'm so obsessed with it, and I know videos like this have helped me decide, helped me feel good in my decision. So I hope that maybe this has helped you in some way. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!